Hey everybody, it's Kent with VoidRealm Minis. I'm going to do an overview right now of the models that I have sculpted and prepared for February on my Patreon, which is the Fall of the Ancients pack. Let's waste no time here and dive right into ZBrush and have a look, starting off with the cosmic horror for the month, which is Xarxios. This is the Cataclysm of the Ancients. So this is the big, bad cosmic horror for the month of February. You can see it's kind of worm-like, it's kind of ooze-like, it's got some tentacles popping out, some spines popping out, lots of different things going on. So we'll talk about all that, and we'll talk about how all the other characters fit into this lineup. So Xarxios, a couple things to note. He's got an opening right here. If anybody wants to print out and stick a light up there, you can kind of get his mouth glowing inside all of those teeth. He's got a couple options for eyes depending on how you paint it. He's got these two main eyes right here on either side of his head. And then he's also got these little eyes, 5 of them, that surround the mouth opening. So you can make any of those spheres look like eyes or not, kind of your choice. He prints in a few different parts. The pinchers on each side are separate. These tentacles that have nests and eggs at the top of them are also separate. And the main sculpt itself is in 3 pieces. So we've got the front, the middle, and the rear. The rear is kind of cool. This is where he's sort of oozing out and kind of spilling eggs as he walks along. I wanted to really play with the idea that he just creates all of these monsters that just keep hatching and reproducing, and they start flying around, the harpies, the cockatrice, and this causes these massive calamities and disasters. So on the back of him, you can see we've got one of these lurking tentacles kind of coming out of the slime from one of the hatched eggs. And the lurking tentacle itself, there's a standalone model, a couple variations of that that you can use. And then these nest tentacles, you can include these or not when you build Xarxios. If you do, he goes over 100 millimeters tall, I believe. I think without the nest tentacles, if we turn them off, he'll be about maybe 95 millimeters. I can't remember exactly, to the top of his main body. But yeah, that's Xarxios. We'll talk about some of the other sculpts and then come back to him, and I'll show you how things kind of fit in and vignette with him. Let's go to the cockatrice next. This is a cool one. This is also a pretty big model. I think it's over 70 millimeters tall. So it'll be pretty imposing on the tabletop. The Calamity cockatrice was a lot of fun to sculpt, trying to give some really stylized feathers and a nice pose, and then just sort of try to do something interesting with the neck and the beak, and kind of what typically these characteristics of a rooster. The cool thing about this model is you can add to it its eldritch components or not. So you can make it kind of Lovecraftian, or you can keep it more standardized. This is the standardized version, but if we take, you look at the belly right here, we'll add in the eldritch mouth. This will really make it a little weirder. And you can see it's got this lower jaw coming off of it with the tongue, and that would just slot into place. So you'd probably want to really glue that in. So, or you could attach maybe a magnet to it so that you could add and remove it, maybe do like a cool phased fight where he gets his eldritch upgrades or not. He's also got these eldritch stalks that fit in. We can zoom in right into this opening here. I'll turn him off again. So he's got a small opening here, and this actually sort of looks like a face. There's like some eye shapes here that I planned, and a little bit of a brow, and kind of a mouth, even a bit of a nose. So you can also paint this up and play with the idea that that maybe this is the thing that's kind of taken over the cockatrice and controlling it, and then from its mouth comes spitting out these 2 twisting stalk eyes. You can also give him, his tail's got the same shape, so that can be a 3rd eye or not, kind of up to you. But that's the Calamity cockatrice. He prints body, tail, Each of his feet are separate, and his wings are separate. And then, of course, the Eldritch Mouth and the Eldritch Stalks are separate. So that's the cockatrice. And next, we will look at the Kenku. These guys were fun to make. I thought it'd be cool to do some maybe cultists that kind of worship Xarxios. And since I was doing a lot of avian-themed characters, I thought Kenku would be fun to add in. These guys can serve a variety of different purposes on your tabletop. We've got, of course, the monk-looking guy, which could also be a sorcerer or a warlock or a cleric or anything that would kind of make use of a staff. So that's this version. We've also got the warrior. This guy holding a sword. He could also be a thief or assassin, since he's got those cultist robes on as well. So we'll get a better look at him by himself here. So yeah, these guys were fun. I know Kenku are kind of classic D&D race, and I really had wanted to sculpt them for a while, so I was happy they fit into this month's lineup. So those are the Kenku. You get both poses. Yeah, so let's see. Next, we've got... talked about the Kenku, we talked about... let's do the Harpies. So the Chaos Harpies are pretty cool. They have a couple different options. This is the first pose with both feet perched, and it can perch on a bunch of different things. I've got a few extra bases in addition to kind of, this is the main one that I'm showing off with the renders, but if we turn off that base and we turn on a couple more, I'll show you, let's see. So we've got a version without the Roman sculptures on it for this one. The other pose has a couple more varieties. Something I'll go ahead and point out now is the face, which is pretty cool. There are two versions of it. There's this one I call the regular face with these big fangs. We can also add a chaos face to it. So let's turn on the chaos face. We'll even isolate it. So the chaos face is pretty cool. It's still got those pinchers, but an extended weird neck and like a weird melted singular slot for an eye up there. So both of the harpy poses work with either of the heads. So you can make them regular or chaos formed or maybe interchangeable. That's sort of your call with how weird you like to make things. And then the other pose is going to look like this. Bit more of a standing perch. And the bases I've got all jumbled together. We'll turn some of these off. So it can perch on top of an egg. She can also perch on more of just a standard rock base. And then I threw this in as a bonus, this bust of Ares that's sort of gouged out. So this bust is actually a museum scan of a sculpt. So this kind of stuff I'm throwing in as free bonuses because the scans you can download for free online, and I just messed with them a little bit. So this kind of stuff is just for fun, sort of bonus things. We'll turn this back on and have a look at this pose with the regular face. So that's more of the standard version. So those are the Chaos Harpies. Lastly, we'll go back to Xarxios, and I'll talk about a few more monsters and how they fit in. The first thing we'll look at are the lurking tentacles, which are going to be right here. So these guys, if they had hatched from the back of those Xarxios, they grow their own legs, they start to stand on their own, and I just thought it'd be fun to play with a pretty simple but unique Lovecraftian concept. I modeled the legs off of an ostrich leg with the one big toe and then a smaller second toe. you can see there's two versions. There's the leaping variation and the standard variation. These guys have the same top head piece, these tentacle frills, so you just print multiple copies of the frill and stick them on any of the tentacles that are in these sets, and they'll work. Next, I will turn on the Eldritch Hydra. There he is, and we'll get the heads on as well. So this was another really fun model for me to sculpt. There he is. So we've got this main face back here, kind of pressing against the ground with its arms, and its tail or its heads are sort of swimming that way. So you can have fun with this on the tabletop facing players in either direction. I, in my head, feel like this guy, that the main head is kind of scared. Maybe it's the vulnerable spot, and it's always sort of crawling away or trying to retreat, while the tentacles themselves are lashing out at people who are fighting it. So we got the Eldritch Hydra here. He prints a main body, all of the head pieces you print out separately and attach, and then the two arms are separated also. And then this guy is the one that vignettes really nicely with the main Cosmic Horror Zarxios. So I'll turn Zarxios on, and you'll see the Eldritch Hydra actually retreats into Zarxios's mouth. So on the tabletop, you can have fun like with this guy crawling out, maybe backwards, sort of weird, like Exorcist style, or retreating in to the mouth as kind of like going back into safety. Zarxios can be spitting this thing out and adding to the complexity of a crazy boss fight or something like that. So that's the main vignette. If we turn on the nest tentacles left and right here, we should also be able to perch a harpy on top of one of these. So in this first pose, that's about the proper scaling of how we'll see the harpy in relation to Zarxios. So it can land atop one of these eggs. And of course, we can always add the lurking tentacles and the Kenku around it. But those are kind of the two characters that vignette specifically with the Cosmic Horror for the month. I know that people have enjoyed that fact about my stuff, that they kind of piece together and form little dioramas. So I wanted to continue doing that this year, and this month, excuse me, and I'll try to continue doing that in future bundles. So that's pretty much it. That's the overview of the Fall of the Ancients pack. If you go to my Patreon, patreon.com/VoidRealm minis, there's a ton of render images over there showing all these models off one by one from different poses and angles. We're getting everything test printed and supported right now. So if you subscribe, get all these files bundled together for just $5 or $10 if you're a merchant. And everything comes pre-supported and tested. It's a crazy good value. I probably undervalue my stuff way too much, to be honest. But the support that I get from Patreon is super, super appreciated, and is really the way that I can sustain myself as a miniature sculptor and keep making weird monsters for you guys. So I think pricing it affordably is really worth it. I hope you guys enjoy these and get a lot of awesome value out of them. I'm always looking for feedback about things that you'd like, the original designs, classic stuff, things you'd like to see more of. Just let me know. Hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time with more VoidRealm sculpts. Bye.